we just pulled up to our location, and first thing I'm gonna do is put the taps on. These are just like little faucet plugs, so we're gonna take those off first. Actually, my shanks are a little loose, so I'm gonna go on the inside and I'm gonna tighten those down. Okay, so what I did is tighten the shank nuts on the inside. There we go, that's better. Make sure these are all straight. If they're relatively snug, you can turn the faucet. You can turn the faucet to the right and it'll pull that shank nut forward. One more. It's a Hawaiian themed party, in case you're wondering why I'm wearing a weird bathing suit. I guess this really didn't care. Faucets tight. We'll go one by one. Okay, I'm gonna make sure that these are all closed and that they're all straight. So they're all straight and they're all closed. I'm gonna go back on the other side again and tighten them down, just another little tighten. Now we're back in the van. One more little tighten. This is the other side of the faucets, so we're just gonna snug them down. And I'm gonna check and make sure that they didn't move on the other side. Okay, they moved a little bit, so I straightened them again. So we designed this height here on the other side of the van basically so that way a small folding table would fit really nicely right here, and then the jumper box sits on top of it, and it's basically in line with the shanks against on the outside of the wall here. So this is just a tiny 6-foot table, nope, 4-foot table, and it fits really nicely. Fits really nicely against the wall here. Hey, and then when we put our jumper box right here, it's going to be even with the shanks. Okay, so here we have our 4-tap jumper box. Now, can't really see, but the inputs and outputs on a jumper box don't really matter. You can have it one way or the other, and what kind of dictates which direction you have it is which way you're going to fill the ice, right? So if I were to put the outputs on this side and put it against the wall this way, my lid would be opening this way. And so we have our inputs this way, and then the kegs will go, the keg lines will go from where I'm standing to here. So this would be the input. And then if I need to check ice and fill ice inside the jumper box, it makes it easy to do that. So I'm gonna move the camera and get so that way you guys can see it a little bit easier. So we call these shank jumpers because they're actually jumping the shanks from the jumper box to the shanks on the wall here, the faucet shanks. And so we like putting wing nuts on these so that way you can hand tighten them. You don't need a wrench to do it. So between each connection, you need a beer washer. And so we're gonna start from the outside and work our way in. We like keeping these as short as possible because they're not chilled, right? And so as the beverage goes through the system and it gets really cold through the lines, through the stainless steel lines on the inside, as it leaves here, we want these as cold as possible as well. And so especially with beer, it can get kind of finicky. So if these are really warm, beer can go to foam really quickly because the CO2 wants to escape. So until these cool down, you'll get a little burst of foam. So, but as you pour and as these chill down, you know, it'll calm down and you'll start to get a really good pour. But so that's why we put the insulation on the outside, just so that they, once they're cold, they try and stay cold. It does make it a little bit of a challenge keeping these really short on the installation side of things, but it's not too bad. So I'm just hand tightening all of these with the wing nuts, putting a washer between each one of them. The jumpers need to be the same length, that way the pressure is all the same. You don't want ones that are like 12 inches and then ones that are like 36 inches. You don't want to, you don't want to go that long. We recommend under 24 inches. but you want them all the same length as well, so that way you're running relatively the same pressure throughout the entire system. Okay, I started on the back one and worked my way in. I've got them all hand tightened. I'm going to check these again once I attach the kegs and run through the system, and before I put any ice in here, I'm going to actually connect the kegs and run beer through all of these. I'm going to check the connections just to make sure that everything's not everything's seated properly and it's not leaking. Okay, jumper box is installed. So I've got a couple kegs here. These have lots of ice in them still. So I have a quarter barrel of an IPA, and then I've got a 1/6 barrel of just a really nice light ale, and a huge bag of ice to keep things cold. Okay, so we're going to run keg lines from the back of the jumper box to the kegs. It's always wise to zip tie extra washers somewhere in your jumper box or on your jumper lines, because if you're taking these on and off all the time, they get lost super easy. So extra keg washers are a must. So one of the things that we're going to do here is we're going to run beer through the entire system before we even put ice on the jumper box. So we do that for two reasons. One is to make sure that there's no leaks anywhere, because there's a lot of connections in this system, so we just want to make sure that everything's leak free. The other thing is, if you're not aware, but commercial ice is held at like 0 degrees. And so if you were to put this in right away, let it sit for a few minutes, like that ice is at 0 degrees and it will like super freeze your coils. And then if you run anything through it, whether it's got alcohol in it or not, that super frozen stainless steel coil can, if there's any like residual moisture left inside of it, can create ice really quickly, and it'll lock up your system. It'll plug your system just because it's so cold. And so, I don't know if you noticed, but we tend to leave it out just for a little bit, just to kind of bring the temperature up of the ice. It's not really melting yet. It's still super cold, so just giving it some time. Pro tip. All right, so these are hand tightened, so I'm going to snug these down. They don't have to be super tight. If you get them super tight, I mean, when you go to undo them, it'll actually be so tight that it grabs the shank with it, and the shank will start coming out versus the nut coming off. So, all right, so I've got I always go from the CO2 tank forward. That's how I try to think of things. So I got my CO2 tank, it's off, coming to my 4-way manifold. And then I'm going to go to each keg. So these left two, that one is going to go to the first one there. This one's going to go here. I'm just going to let that hang. This middle one is going to go to the big keg, and then I'm going to leave the blue one here for the cocktail keg that we're going to tap, which is like a little small 2-gallon one. So we'll have 3 beers and a cocktail on draft. So, okay, so the last thing I got to do is hook the beer lines. So we're going to go 1 all the way back. We're going to hook the beer lines to the couplers, and we need more beer washers. Make sure that everything is snug. Oh, first one's MILFs. So make sure that the top is your beverage out. and that the gas is tight as well. Third one. That one's going to be Oktoberfest. Either way, I'm going to tighten, button all this up. And I'm going to turn the gas on, pressurize the system to 30 psi. Tank goes all the way on the gas side. We'll listen to it fill up, and I'm going to listen to make sure that there's no leaks. And I hear one. Okay. We're going to get a screwdriver for that. I'm going to make sure these are all tight. Okay. Okay, so ran some lines. Do I have any leaks? Nope. And I forgot to put the cooler plug in. So I don't have this cocktail on yet, but I'm actually going to run some beer through it, just so there's something in the lines. I can still hear that tank, so I don't know if something's leaking still or not, but. Okay, so now I'm going to uncouple this one. So now my event isn't until tomorrow, but I've got some people coming to help me set up tonight, so I wanted to offer them some beer. So one of the most important things that we're going to do here is, because this system is using such a high amount of pressure, compared to the normal pressure that you'd run in a system, we want to make sure that we bleed off all the CO2 at the end of the night, just to get it back down to about 10 psi. So we don't want to leave it at 30 psi for the entire night, because what will happen is the beer will start absorbing all of that overnight, and it'll overcarbonate, and you'll have nothing but a mess when you go try to pour it the next day. So we'll turn the CO2 off and bleed all the excess CO2 out of it before we close up for the night. So that way it's nice and fresh for tomorrow. So, okay.
Get stadium quality draft at home or on the go with a cold one. No power required. Built for the fans. Built for the win.